Hello and welcome again to my channel. It's good to be here. It's Thursday morning here in kind of overcast Huntsville, Alabama. I hope it's nice wherever you are. Thanks for joining this video. And thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for commenting on it, on videos. Appreciate it and enjoy getting to know folks. And I'm glad that this is that some people at least are enjoying what they're hearing here. So we'll just keep at it. Today I want to talk about a talk that a dear friend of mine, really a mentor of mine, named Rod Olps. He gives a talk called The Seasons of a Man's Life. And I've heard him give this talk at least twice, probably more. But it's just a wonderful talk. And he's drawing from a number of different books, and I don't remember those books. You'll have to hear Rod's talk if you want to hear the full version of it, but I'm going to just kind of give my summary, and I think it's really helpful. The basic idea is that there are seasons of a man's life, and that and he's specifically kind of talking about career, and about it, and it's especially, I think, convicting for young men. I mean, I think it's also encouraging for young men to kind of understand where they're at. You know, it's kind of a "you are here" sort of talk. I think for older men, there's a sense of, well, I screwed up and I didn't do it right, and I don't think that's the way to take it either. But I think anybody who hears this should see kind of the point. And the basic idea is that there are these kind of these different seasons with these different transitions, and he kind of puts it at 18 and 25 and 35 to 40 and then kind of 60 plus, right? And I might be botching those exact numbers. I don't think it matters a whole lot. The point is that you start in a season of sowing. And you end, Lord willing, if you do it right, in a season of reaping, right? So there's planting and there's harvesting, and those are kind of the two overarching sort of seasons that you're in your life. And a big mistake that a lot of men make is that they think early in their career, in their lives, that they are in the harvesting season, the reaping season. And they're really not. They haven't put in the work to be there. And if you kind of settle in for the long haul, then you're going to encounter what a lot of men encounter with like a midlife crisis. And so one of the helpful sort of diagrams that Rod talks about is that as you're getting older, your responsibilities go up, right? You are when you're a young man, you don't have any property, you don't have anybody, you don't have any dependents. You've not been given authority over anything, any employees or leadership positions in your church or whatever, right? School board. And so you're sort of down here on the responsibility thing. But as you get older, for most men, you slowly gain more and more responsibility. You got bills to pay, you've got mouths to feed, etc. Well, what's also happening simultaneously is your energy levels are, when you're young, are at the highest they'll ever be. But as you get older, they're going down and down and down, right? And so those two things are happening at the same time, and they're going to cross. And Rod was a naval aviator, so he uses the analogy of a pilot getting what they call behind the power curve. And he said that's when the plane smashes into the back of the aircraft carrier because they don't have enough speed or lift, to continue flight. And so that kind of intersection is when most men burn out and have midlife crises, okay? And so the whole point of his talk is, how do we prevent this from happening, and how do you prepare for the fact that your responsibilities are going up and you're going to need more energy than ever up here when your responsibilities are at their highest. But your energy levels naturally are going down. So how do you prepare for that? And again, when your responsibilities are at their highest, it should also be the season of your life where you're really reaping the benefits of the work that you've done in the first half of your life. So or your career. It's the time where the habits, the disciplines, the investments, the career moves, the relationships that you have are all, if you've been faithful with all of them, then you should start to see some fruit. You start seeing a lot of fruit, right? And so the basic idea and the big application for me earlier in my life, and I'm seeing it now as well, is that if you that you need to invest that first part of your life when you've got insane amounts of energy that you're never going to have again. You need to leave it on the field during that time. You need to plow really hard into your family, especially your marriage, especially your wife. The men who are workaholics and are never home and are never helping their wife, and who are not pouring into them and filling their tank and making sure they've got the resources they need to do their job well. If a husband is not investing heavily there, then when he gets past that turning point, right? He's going to need her in that second half of his life more than he did in the early half. The first half, you've got energy. Your energy sort of bails you out of a lot of tough situations. You can just plow through and work your way through a hard season. And that works, right? But it's not a long-term strategy. And especially if we know that you are going to lose a lot of energy, and you're not going to be able to keep doing this the rest of your life. So the idea is early on, invest really heavily in the right things. One of those most important central things for a man is in his relationship with his wife. You're a team, you're a partnership. She's got to have your back. You've got to have her back. You don't want to be the guy who looks at his wife one day and just says, "I can't do it anymore," and she goes, "Well, good luck, man. Figure it out." Where were you when I was drowning in diapers and drowning in laundry and overwhelmed by these crazy kids that you gave me? Where were you? I've had to figure this out. I've had to figure out my part on my own. So you go ahead and figure out your part on your own, right? And this is what happens to a lot of men. The other thing that happens to a lot of men is they don't invest in their career in the right kind of way. So what I mean by that is when your responsibilities and your obligations are at their lowest, it is the best time to take risks. This is the time in your life where you can't be playing it safe. This is the time in your life where you can fall completely and get right back up. And it's not going to, you're not going to devastate a bunch of people's lives, right? When you're 40 and you've got, a big family and you've got, kids are about to go off to college and all of that, it's kind of a big deal to take a major, huge risk financially, right? And so that's really not typically the time where you start to, okay, maybe I should think about a different career. But early on, you've kind of got nothing to lose. So it's a great time to take risks in your career, try different things. And it's kind of like the business analogy of a startup versus a business. I talked about that a couple of videos ago. The idea that this first half is really about discovery. You're trying to figure out what your calling is. So the mistake that I think people make is, well, I want to be X. That's the job. That's the career I want to have. So I'm going to go there. The problem is that when you're 18, you don't know yourself well enough to know, in most cases, what you're going to be good at. There's nothing wrong at all to have a goal and to pursue it. I'm not pushing against that, but hold it loosely, right? And keep this awareness of, I need to be honest with myself, honest with my wife about what I'm good at, what I enjoy, and what just really is painfully difficult for me, not fun at all, doesn't give me any energy, doesn't excite me in any way, and start pulling away from those kinds of job opportunities and start moving towards those that give you energy, that are thrilling, that are exciting, that tap into the part of your brain that just goes, right? And so that's the first half of your career, is discovering what is your calling? What is your power band? Where are you? What's your highest, best use? And the purpose again there is that when you cross that moment where your responsibilities are higher than your energy level, you need your wife to help you, carry you, push you along, and you need the energy and the fun and the joy and the purpose that you derive from your work to also carry you. Your energy isn't going to cut anymore. You're not going to be able to just muscle through and go, I'm just going to drink another cup of coffee and just stay up for another 5 hours and pound this out. You need that sense of purpose, that sense of meaning, and calling, right? And so again, what Rod talks about is in the first half or so of your kind of career life, you are discovering your calling. And this is not about optimizing your cash, your earning potential. You can do that too. And that's another way to think of it, for sure. But to me, obviously, when you're doing the thing that you're best at, I think everything else falls into place. I think the cream rises to the top, and your ability to earn more, your opportunities to earn more, present themselves. That's kind of a faith sort of statement, but I think it's true. I think Scripture talks about, you see a man who's skilled in his work, he'll stand before kings. When you're in your power band, when you're in your sweet spot and you're jamming and you're good at what you do, people take notice. People take notice and go, I want that guy. That's the guy, right? So early in your career, first half, invest in your wife, invest in your family, take risks, and try different things. Don't be afraid of failure. It's the best lesson. It's sometimes the most powerful lessons that we learn is, I tried that thing and I thought I was going to be really good at it. Turns out I'm not. I just don't have, my brain doesn't work that way. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. I got in there and realized, gosh, it's terrible. It's soul sucking. Got a friend who was just 100% convinced that he was going to be a CPA or an accountant, and did it a lot, pursued it a lot, and eventually realized, I just don't like this work. I thought this is what I was going to be good at. It seemed like a smart career move, and just turns out I'm not good at it. The good news is he's young enough to change, to try different things. What happens when people go through midlife crises is they put their head down on their job. And I have so many friends, I've seen this happen over and over, where they kind of settle into like almost early retirement. You got a guy who's late 20s, early 30s, been at a company for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and is like, I've moved up the ladder. I'm making, 20% more than I did when I started. And I've got a little bit more of a title. I've gone from a junior person to a manager at this company. And it's like, I'm going to ride this out, man. I got a 401k and I'm going to just keep riding this thing out. I'm going to stay with this. I'm good. I'm good at this. And the problem there is, you've put all your eggs in one basket, for starters. If that company goes under, you're kind of like, everything you've learned, everything you know how to do is really only related to that one company, and the culture there and the lingo there and the way they did business. And what you realize when you change jobs and work at different companies is people do things differently, and you've got to be nimble and you've got to learn. There's a lot of lingo and proficiency in different things that you've got to pick up that people actually expect you to have in other companies that you maybe your old company didn't care about, right? So like, I can give a lot of examples, but like, it was a great moment. I gave a presentation. I took this job, and they wanted me to produce a report, and I gave this presentation, and I think they liked a lot of the content. But then one of my bosses was like, gosh, man, it's a little rough. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? And he was like, it's all right. He's like, I just kind of expected a little more. And it just bothered me. It was like on Friday, and I was actually going on a date with my wife, and I just called him. I said, Bethany, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this date unless I get this off my chest. So I called him and said, hey man, you made a comment in that meeting, what did you mean? And he was like, oh no, it's all good. I thought it was great. I said, I know, but there was something about the way you said it that made me think that it wasn't, And he said, no, the only thing is like, I just would expect that somebody in yours, with your experience and background would be a lot better at using, like word processing and PowerPoint and Excel. And I was kind of like surprised at how bad you are at those things. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Good point. I just slapped something together and didn't know how to use those tools nearly as well as I needed to. And it was like a kiss on the mouth for me, because it was like, okay, that's doable. I can figure all those things out. I can dig deep and learn how to, learn all the formulas and become proficient at Excel. I can figure out how to operate, do better with all the other Office suite tools. But it was one of those things where I just he was basically saying like, you got a booger hanging out of your nose, dude. Like you're going to, your next job interview and you got a big booger hanging out of your nose. Like someone needs to tell you, And that was the kind of thing that I wouldn't have learned if I would have stayed at the same company, because clearly the company I'd been at before didn't care, didn't notice, it wasn't a priority to them. But I realized later in life that, yeah, it's just, those are skills that that you're expected to have at a certain level. So just an example, but the point is that moving jobs, taking some risks, trying some things that you're not comfortable with, exploring gives you a chance to, every time you kind of change jobs, gives you a chance to go, okay, what did I like about that? What was I good at? Where was I really being stretched in a good way? Where was I being pushed in a bad way that I just didn't like and wasn't good for me? Be honest with yourself, honest with your wife. It's a team sport. So anyway, that's the basic gist. I'm sure there's more, but the basic idea is that guys get burned out because they get to that middle age. They go through a crisis because they go, I'm now at this point where I've got so much responsibility, so many people depending on me, and the only way I can make money right now is doing this thing that I've been doing for the last 20 years, and I don't even like it. I don't even know that it's something I want to be doing for the rest of my career. As a matter of fact, like I just like this is when guys feel like I'm totally trapped. I'm doing something that I didn't, nobody stopped me from like just plowing ahead for 20 years. And that's when the guys, burn out, buy a sports car, go have an affair, do something stupid, because they're feeling like they're trapped for the rest of their lives, and they're trapped in a dead end job that they don't want to be in anymore. And so if you're a woman, if you're hearing this and you're thinking about how you can support your husband, you've got to push your husband to take risks. And this is something that's really hard for women. Women want security, and the idea of, oh, you're going to like change jobs, and like, what if you're not good at it? And what if you don't provide? I just luck of the draw ended up with a wife that has a hugely high risk tolerance. She grew up in a household of entrepreneurs. Her mom ran her own business as a single mom, for a long time. And my wife was like, yeah, you get by, sometimes you don't have as much food in the pantry. You get by. It's all good. Better now than later. Let's try that. And so I took a bunch of risks, tried some crazy career moves, quit some jobs, fired some clients when I was doing consulting when I really needed the money, but just because I felt like this isn't right, this isn't the right thing. There's something to be said for sometimes just hunkering down and toughing it out when you're in a less than ideal situation. But the overall thrust of your first half of your career needs to be that of discovering your strengths, your weaknesses, finding your calling, finding the thing that just really lights you up, and the thing that in the last half of your career you would do without even getting paid, just because you love it. It's the thing that you're good at. It's the place where people go, oh, we need to talk to is that guy. That guy, Larson, or whatever your name is. That's the guy that just is awesome at that. And that's who we need to go to when we have that kind of problem. So that's the Seasons of a Man's Life in 20 minutes. Rod probably gives the talk in 25 minutes. So I don't know that it's as much of a summary as it was a retelling of it with my own, spin, but not much of my own spin. That's mostly Rod Alp's. He's talked on, I know that Doug Wilson interviewed Rod on a podcast once, and they talked about this stuff. There's probably other places where you can find. I might look for it and put links in the description. But I hope that's helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Jump in on the comments. Let me know what you think. And thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.